Gary here. Welcome to Book Mob episode 35. Do you know these lines? Gently to hear, kindly to judge our play. With patient ears attend. Well, first one is from Henry V, and the second one was from Romeo and Juliet. And both of those quotes come from this very entertaining read by the actress Dame Judi Dench, called Shakespeare, the Man Who Pays the Rent. And the title is spawned from in the 1970s when Judi Dench and her husband both worked for the Old Vic Theatre in England. And obviously they were doing Shakespeare, and Shakespeare Pays the Rent. I thought I'd just pass that on. Now, even if you have a very base knowledge of Shakespeare, and perhaps you want to, read more or understand more, then this is such a great book to find an introduction to Shakespeare by Judi Dench. Because in the book, Judi is interviewed, I think it's over a period of 4 to 5 years, by Brendan O'Hea, who's also a Shakespearean actor and I guess a writer now. But you'd find the book under Judi Dench, Shakespeare, the Man Who Pays the Rent, as she is the author, so to speak. And what you're going to get is a couple of 100 pages of this conversation that's obviously been edited down and paired, to make it readable. But it's extremely charming. It's very informative. And Judi Dench goes through each play that she has performed in her roles. So she'll talk about the play, and then she'll talk about her role in the play. They'll have she puts in outside information in from backstage, so to speak. It's a very entertaining, calm, enjoyable read. And I highly recommend this book for anyone who just wants to read about Judi Dench, and also to get some information about Shakespeare in a way that it's palatable and easy to remember, because basically Judi will talk to you about how she came across her different roles in the plays of Shakespeare, and how she played them, how the directors approach the play with her characters. And some directors don't do anything, and some directors do everything. So you get this nice Shakespeare sort of landscape. And it's one of those books that is very good for anyone who has maybe an hour a day just to calm down and have a very gentle read. There's no politics, there's no anger, there's no frustration. It's just someone talking about their craft of acting and in this case, Shakespearean plays. Now, there's banter between O'Hea, what's this bloke's O'Hea, and Judi, because they've known each other and worked in Shakespearean productions before. So the book itself is also filled with questions. So Judi will talk about 2 or 3 plays, and then they'll have a chapter where Brendan will ask her questions, such as, let's go, talk about critics, rehearsals, failures, the audience, the reason for enjoying and consuming Shakespeare. And so you get this very, like I said, a broad spectrum that is not too taxing intellectually. And again, it demonstrates actually that Shakespeare was a common man. He's writing for people to enjoy themselves, to lose themselves in a story, and all the different ways they've been. Obviously you've got ballets, you've got films, you've got different types of interpretations. So there is so much on offer for people who are fans of Shakespeare, fans of Shakespearean plays, film, and theatre. So at the end of the day, there's a plethora of universal stories. Yeah, so one of the things Judi says is that Shakespeare's language needs a muscle and effort. It's like anything else. You've got to train your brain to read difficult words, new words, made up words, and apparently Shakespeare made up loads and loads of words in order to fill out his narrative. Questions, she responds to questions of, why Shakespeare? Because you hear a lot of, it's an old world, who needs to hear it? And basically, Judi will explain to you that, Shakespeare talks an international language. He does bridge cultures. He expresses, the main thing he does, he expresses what it is to be human. And I think that's probably one of the main things about Shakespeare, the universal stories about human beings, because it helps you understand, like Othello, if it's about jealousy and madness, Romeo and Juliet, obviously love, Macbeth, ambition. So when you read the stories, and you'll probably want to see some of the productions that Judi was in after you read the book, and Judi Dench presents Shakespeare in a very digestible form. She, from her vast experience over the decades as an actress, as a Shakespearean performer, her roles, she's covered many of the major roles: Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, As You Like It. There's just so many different roles and plays, and she has been involved in so many of them in theatre and in film. And I guess if you want to watch the movies, that's great. For me, the Roman Polanski's Macbeth is fantastic. It's probably my favorite interpretation of Macbeth. However, watching live theatre is entertaining, and it's passionate. You watch people on stage, and each and every performance that you go to is going to be different. And I guess that's with live theatre, is that the stories, even though the stories stay the same, every night the actor goes on, they're going to be doing something different. And this gives the scope of diversity in storytelling. It's amazing. Judi also talks about, by saying that this book is her own, she should have said it's a one person's reflections. So it's not a seminal text, it's not an academic text, it's just a book that introduces anyone. This book can reach across all ages, and I think that it would be beneficial for people who've never really participated in reading or watching or listening to Shakespeare. If they pick up this book, they're going to have a very insightful look into Shakespeare through Judi Dench. And the conversation she has with Brendan are fun, and you get some, inside tidbits on other performers and directors. And so basically it's a fun read and an easy read and a meaningful read. Judi Dench will, she expresses how there's so much context, there's so much humanity in Shakespeare's words, and she pulled out one quote during the pandemic. She said she spoke this quote, which was from Shakespeare, from Richard II, and it was, "I wasted time, and now doth time waste me." That feeling that when before the pandemic, you just did whatever you wanted. And then suddenly, as she talks about, she was, basically in lockdown at home, and suddenly time was taken away from her because she had to remain in a closed area, and she couldn't really do the things that she'd been doing for the last 50 years. So she said that just that one quote, "I wasted time, and now doth time waste me." And when you play it yourself and you even recite it out aloud, you can feel the meaning. You know exactly what Shakespeare was thinking when he put that line in Richard II. It's a universal line about just not taking for granted how much time you have until something comes into your life, illness or a tragedy, and suddenly time is taking it from you. So that was one of the quirks of this book is that Judi's humanity, her delicious sense of presence, her enjoyment, her passion for Shakespeare, for her roles, and as I've always enjoyed Shakespeare, and I've seen plays and films and ballets even, and I always find that even now I still struggle sometimes with the language. I still get frustrated with some of the some of the characters and some of the stories. But at the end of the day, it's like Judi said, and I said in the beginning of the video. Shakespeare language requires muscle and effort, brain muscle and brain and intellectual effort. So a really excellent book. And coming up to the festive season, I can highly recommend this book. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend it to a 15-year-old, though I wish a 15-year-old would read it because they'd get a lot out of it. But it's a wonderful book for sitting around having a cup of tea in the summer, outside on the deck chair, and just enjoying life. And this book will give you that sense of the beauty of life, because Shakespeare does give so much beauty and meaning to life. And you don't have to be like Judi Dench. You don't have to be a famous actress, with it all. It's just the power and the absolute understanding of the universal experiences of human beings in every play, in every story, in every line. And I really do believe that the more you read, the more you watch, the more you listen to Shakespeare, it grows inside you. It reminds you of how precious life is, love is, friendships are, marriage and relationships and war and power and everything that goes along with that. So again, please pick up Judi Dench, Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent. A wonderful, wonderful, worthy book, and I can't recommend it highly enough. Thank you very much. Oh, before I go, I'm Michael Caine. I saw this at Big W today. Michael Caine, A Deadly Game. I'm Michael Caine. Obviously, it's not working, but I thought, this will be a fun read, and I just started it this morning, and yeah, it's okay. I mean, I wonder if Michael Caine is 90 years of age. You just wonder, did Michael really, really, truly write this? Because you hear so much about ghostwriters, and you just wonder, well, regardless, perhaps he had some input into it. Maybe he came up with a story, but it's a fun read so far. And during the week, I've managed to finish Colson Whitehead, Zone 1. That's fascinating. That's a great book about a massive cultural, social change. About it's zombies, but it's more the way Colson writes. I mean, I don't know if you've read some of his books, but what did I just read of Colson's this year? Oh yeah, Colson. Crook Manifesto, which was just an awesome book, and this one is just great too. And also part of the same vintage classic series. This is Karen Russell, Sleep Donation, which it's about insomnia and a viral insomnia, so to speak. And then people are sort of trading their sleeping time to give to people who have insomnia, and it's delves into. I mean, it's like a blood bank. People probably won't remember, but back in the early '80s, when there was blood transfusion problems with viruses and diseases, and they weren't screened. So you have the same kind of problem with dreams that are infecting people's behavior, and so it's an interesting book. It doesn't fill out its promise for me, but it's nevertheless not a bad read. And again, it's part of the vintage classics. And anyway, so thanks. I'll be back hopefully with another episode real soon. And please keep reading, and please leave any comments. or request for any books that you want me to talk about, or ask any questions about literature, about writers, even about self-publishing, because I have self-published one book, and I'm almost finished my second book, which is a science fiction novel, and hopefully I'll start getting into the process of professionalizing, editing, and getting ready for self-publishing probably around April 2024. Okay, have a great reading week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.